What is up, guys, and welcome to the channel in a very sunny Yorkshire. Today we're going to get back on the K-Jazz. So we have done a little bit since the end of the last video. I've been tinkering in the background just to make sure I've got a good video for you. And what I've got done is, first of all, the shifter cables. They're done. They work. All I had to do, I don't have to modify anything in the car. Don't have to modify anything on the gearbox. I just had to shorten this cable. So I just cut this end off, tidied that up nicely, laid it all in place, and then when it was in complete neutral and the gear stick was in neutral, I sat that against it until it sat nice and flush. A couple little tack welds, and that's it. It finds all gears. The gear stick's got good movement. There is, if you look in the car, so that's first, second, third, fourth. First to fourth is all nice. Fifth isn't like where you'd expect it to be. It's a little bit further over. And then reverse. All works. Beautiful. Nice, easy job, to be fair. I didn't really vlog it because it was one afternoon. I literally just sat in the garage tinkering about, and I thought I'm gonna have a look at this, and it took me 20 minutes. The next issue going to the list was the subframe being a bit close. Come back to that. The offside mount hits the block, which is this one here. All I did was take the mount off. I shaved a few mil off that side, bolt it back down, and we have clearance. Not a lot of clearance, but not touching is not touching. The next issue was mount hitting chassis. This brought a problem in that I was using these OEM Honda mounts. You have to cut a big chunk off that side, and they sag. And it was hitting right there. Lump of the chassis there was hitting on this mount. The problem being the OEM mount, this job, it's too soft. You sit K20 weight on it and it drops down a good 10-15 mil. They're not designed for the weight, plus they're old and worn. So rather than chuck them fresh standard ones in and have probably the same issue, I ordered myself some Cheddar's Auto engine mounts. Obviously that one's already in. Just swapped it in to test it. Chuck this one in as well. And what that's done is lift it enough. You can see there, it's not touching at all. So that solved that issue. It also solved the subframe issue. There's loads of clearance now. We chuck this mount in to raise this side. Again, all lovely, load of clearance everywhere. That bolt hole, which you can't see doesn't have a bolt in it, it probably is going to hit the mount a little bit, but we can shave them out a little bit. That shouldn't be a problem. However, that has brought another problem. The water pump there, it's actually touching the chassis. It's not close, it's actually touching. So I have got a little bit of movement on this mount, and these mounts are all maxed out, but the gearbox has got a decent chunk off the chassis there. So I might slot these out, move it all over a little bit, which might give us a little bit more room there. But I did mention in the previous video that I'm not going to notch this chassis leg, and that's a lie. I'm going to have to notch that chassis leg, solve a multitude of issues. So today's job is going to be removing the engine, notch that chassis leg, test fit with all the mounts, because I've got the rear mount as well. But this being a right-hand drive car, and these designed for a left-hand drive car, I believe this hole is in the wrong place. So I might have to fill it with weld or something and re-drill it, re-tap it, I'm not sure what, but we can solve that, not a problem. And that just replaces that rear mount. The Cheddar's mounts did turn up with this. This was actually on top of there, under the little gold collar, and it raised it up another, I think it's about 15 mil. I have no idea why, because it had raised that side of the engine up too high, and it doesn't really fit anywhere else, so genuinely not a clue. I forgot to mention this, noteworthy mention. I ordered my Cheddar's mount, it didn't say anything about stock levels. I got a tracking number straight away, then it just shows label created. It's been like 2 weeks, even today it's still showing label created, so I dropped them an email, and they said, oh, they've been made, so big delay. That was messing up my timeline and not post the video for a while. I wanted to get on with it. So what I did is I dropped a friend of mine, Liam, a message, because he has these mounts ready to bolt into his K-Swap Jazz, and he'd not got around to fitting them. I said to him, can I borrow your mounts? And when my mounts turn up, I will give you my mounts. You'll get brand new shiny ones. And he said, yeah. So he's got a YouTube channel as well called The DIY Tuners. go and check out. I'll drop a link or a comment or something, I don't know. But yeah, go and check them out. They've got kswap videos, and they've got an RB25 powered Datsun. It's a 240 or 260, I can't remember off the top of my head. Plus a couple of other bits. So yeah, go and check them out. Cheers, Liam. So we've sorted the cables, subframe being closely sorted, mount hitting the block sorted, mount hitting the chassis sorted, the mount hitting the oil cooler. I dropped an email to Hasport, and Brian himself replied to me and said they must have overlooked it. Just shave it, clear, it's not a problem, they'll resolve it for future mounts. That's good. Washer bottle and ABS pump are two completely different things that I'm not really that fussed about. Obviously washer bottle you can go remote and things. What I would like to do, if I get my neck, maybe get a piece of rubber hose or get something 3D printed to pop into the bottle there. That could potentially mount this there somewhere. That'd be a neat solution. Or worst case scenario, just get a piece of pipe on that, put a bung in it and cable tie up out of the way. It's not a big issue, can resolve that at a later stage. As an afterthought, an ABS pump and wiring, that's just one of them things. I've popped the brackets off so we've got a bit more movement on that. And once I've got the engine in its final place and I know where it's going to go, I can have a look at sort of tweaking that. Maybe get a little bit of a bend on these pipes and sort of tweak it over this way. The bracket, you can't see, the bracket there does hit the mount, so I might just shave all the bracket off, and it's not going to be a big job, so we can look at that once we've got a final place for the engine. We've got all clearanced, but today's job mainly going to be clearance this chassis rail, trial the engine in with all the mounts including this rear one which might need modifying, and get ourselves to a point where we can pull the engine out and give it a refresh. A little bit of news on the refresh. I decided to go a little bit more serious with it, and in this box we've got a FD2 oil pump kit so we can get rid of the balance shaft, because apparently that robs these engines of anywhere between 5 and 15 horsepower. So I saw them from Jap Service Parts, about 400 quid. I thought, you know what, just go for it, get it done while the engine's out and save myself a lot of work in the future. That's where we're up to. Sorry for the long intro, let's get on with it. So that's the Cheddar's rear mount on. Bolts up nicely at the rear. You can see bolts are there and there. It does contact a little bit on the bottom there. As you can see, it does contact on the bottom there, which stops it coming completely flush. Everything else bolts up, long 2 bolts in, alignments good everywhere else. So all we need to do is mark that up, drill it and tap it. Right, so what we've done there, we've removed that bracket. The reason being, another little mod that I'm going to do, I don't know if you're supposed to do this, but this mount, if you measure from the centre point of the bolt to there, it's 55 millimeters. The OE mount, if you make the same measurement from the centre point of the bolt to there, like that distance, it's 40 millimeters, which means that mount spaces it out that way, 15 mil, obviously not a direct fit, which obviously is pushing the entire engine that way as well. So what the plan is to modify this. There's plenty of meat on it, so it shouldn't be an issue. What I'm going to do is either modify these 3 holes so I can slide the bracket that way, although I'm not too sure about the amount of meat left on that one, or modify these holes further that way so that the mounts further in on the engine mount. Can always beef that up if it needs more, but I think we'll be all right modifying them, to be fair. Compared to that one, this one much longer. Top tip, don't assume your brake has took oil out of the thump. But yeah, just draining the oil. I'm going to try and modify that mount before pulling the engine. So that's all modified, drilled, tapped, that works. Lovely. We'll chuck it in the car, test everything's good. As long as it's good, the engine can come out. It's all bolted up as much as it needs to be. No clearance needed here, no clearance needed there. We'll need to clearance this mount a smidge, but that's not a big job. That mount is in, no problems. Mounted in, no problems. But this needs clearance in for the water pulley. As you can see, it's been rubbing there, putting on and off. So all we'll do is whip it up there, whip it up here, cut along there, bend it back, weld it up. Let's get the engine out. Right, you don't want to watch me take the engine out again, so we're going to do the YouTube magic thing. And she's out. Just chuck the engine over there for a minute, chuck a sheet over it, get this chassis leg modified. We're nearly there. Slow progress, but progress nonetheless. So I've got these sides in. No top. The bottom in. That back piece just needs cleaning up. Take the grinder to it, tidy it all up nicely, make a top piece, weld that in, and get a lick of paint. Unfortunately, I've run out of time for this weekend, so I'm going to drag everything into the garage and pick it up next weekend. I'll catch you in a couple of seconds. And we're back. A little bit off camera stuff. So I've welded the top in there. Give these front edges a bit of a clean. I just need to clean that bottom edge up. And I get a quick blast with some primer just so it didn't rust up. So I'm going to clean that bottom edge up and get the engine in for one final test fit. Right, so engine's in. This little slot I cut there, get right in. You can see perfect. A gap in front, gap behind that way. All good. The mount has only got 2 bolts in it because this bolt won't go in. I need to clearance that a little bit, but we can do that at a later date, not a problem. 2-minute job. That's all good. Around the gearbox is fantastic. If we go down here, putting them Cheddar's mounts in has created loads of clearance here, so we'll not need to take this tab off the box. Can leave all that as it came from factory. This mount clearance stall up nicely, beautiful, sits flush. It's all bolted in on the bolts. Obviously it needs a bolt there and some washers, but it's not a concern at the minute. On this side, plenty of clearance there, clearance everywhere, gaps again, all fantastic. And lastly, chuck the belt and water pump and everything on to check the notch I made, and completely forgot the belt hits this wiring, so we need to either reroute the wiring or take a chunk of this like apron out and run the wiring through there. But I want to look at that anyway, because the plan is to lop this off, make it removable or make a tubular one or something. One of the problems with these swaps is the intake manifold comes right out here, so we lose the catch. So bonnet pins are normally used. The Americans get away with it because their latch is mounted on the front with a slightly longer front end. But yeah, the plan is to make this removable, remove this completely. The bottom panel, I think I can get away with keeping, but as you can see it's a bit crusty, so I might have a look at replacing that. I'd love to lop it off about there, make some plates, make some receiver plates with some like threaded nuts in, and put a like a removable bottom piece in. Then getting the engine in and out would be a lot easier. Something to think about. These brackets can come off because that was for the aircon, and that's definitely not going in. But yeah, it's looking good. So the plan is now, got to take it all out again. Mess about, I know, but take it all out again because the engine needs like refreshing. I've got a couple of boxes, stuff back there. Still waiting on 1 or 2 gaskets to come in. international shipping's a bit garbage at the minute with the old Red Sea situation. Making good progress. The engine's got to come back out, hopefully for the last time, give the engine a refresh, go through it all, make the clearance for that wiring while we've got the engine out, and start thinking about what I'm going to do with this front panel while the engine's out and I'm not fighting around the engine. That's what we're going to call it a day. I don't know how much I've got into this video. I've been trying to get something out because I've been getting various messages saying what's happening. But that's what we're up to. Double check the shifter as well. This stuff, that's fantastic. I'm mega happy with that. That's a cool incident we can do once the engine's in. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. If you got to this point in the video, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.